everyone, and welcome to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining me. I've got another meal in a jar recipe for you today. I'm calling this Italian chicken stew, and it's really based on something my mom used to make to use up the leftovers in her fridge. So hers was never the same twice. I think she was brilliant in the kitchen. She just knew what flavors worked together. So her stews were always tasty, but they were ever changing. And you can definitely take that same concept and use it here. I'm going to show you how I get some wonderful flavors going on, but you can customize this with whatever vegetables and ingredients you like. Just make sure the jar is full, and this recipe should work. You could make this low carb by swapping out the pasta and the beans with different low carb veggies. Think mushrooms, more zucchini, broccoli, etc. My recipe here is a guide, and you can feel free to make this yours. Let me show you how I put this together. I'm going to start with a quart-sized jar because these ingredients will definitely fill it up, and it'll give you at least 3 good-sized servings here, possibly 4 depending on what you serve it with. You're going to need to start with about 1.5 cups of our chicken slices down in the bottom. Now, I like the chunk of chicken that is in the chicken slices here for this stew, but if you'll notice, I didn't have that much meat. I just ran out, and I didn't want to open another can, so I'll supplement it with some rotisserie chicken at the end of cooking. You'll need 1/3 cup of heavy cream powder. I get that off of Amazon. It's Anthony's brand. And then about 1/2 cup of zucchini. I added more zucchini here to compensate for the lack of chicken. And then in go some tomato dices. These flavors work really well together. I'm adding some instant pinto beans. Thrive Life doesn't even sell those anymore. You could use our instant black beans. I'm adding some potato dices and some celery. And again, this is just kind of mimicking what my mom used to put in hers. I'm adding some kale. You could use spinach or broccoli there. In go about 3 tablespoons of carrots. You don't want to do too many because they will kind of take over the dish. I'm only adding 1/4 cup of macaroni noodles. You can use any kind of pasta. You could also increase that amount if that's what you want, or leave it out altogether. In go some chopped onions and some garlic. You can probably tell that this is going to taste really good just by those ingredients already. So you might give your jar a shimmy, shimmy, shake, shake, and pat it down. Make a little bit of room at the top. I'm putting 3 tablespoons of our Thrive Life tomato sauce. You could also substitute that with some tomato powder and just add extra Italian seasonings. Here are the seasonings I used to make this broth taste amazing. I have freeze-dried Italian seasoning. I've got chicken bouillon, some ranch seasoning. If you don't like that, just sub it with some onion powder and garlic powder, some salt and pepper. And then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of the freeze-dried Parmesan cheese. If you don't have that, don't worry. You can add some fresh Parm as you cook this towards the end of cooking, or you could leave it out altogether. Thrive Life's not even making that anymore, and that's like so sad to me. I'm going to talk to the leaders about that because we need our Parmesan in our Italian cooking. I think we need that. But anyway, you might pat it down and go ahead and put in an oxygen absorber. I usually use oxygen absorbers if my meals are going to sit on the shelf for a long time. You could also vacuum seal this. I mean, you need to use your best judgment for your food storage. This is what I do, but you decide what you want to do. All right, so this is the jar that you could keep stored on your pantry shelf. I think it's beautiful, and this makes a fantastic gift because it's so easy to prepare. It's super delicious. This is a just add water recipe, so y'all, it couldn't be easier here. You'll need to get out a large soup pot and then just empty the contents of your jar into the soup pot. And then you're going to need to add about 7 cups of water. I started with 6 and then I added a 7th. then you'll just need to give this a good stir. Remember, you've got some powders there that will need to be incorporated with that water. You just want to stir it, make sure there's no big clumps of powder. So get on your heat, probably a medium high. You want to bring this to a boil. And every once in a while, you'll just need to come along and give it a stir. You've got some pasta in there and some Parmesan cheese. And as that heats up, it'll tend to want to stick to the bottom of your pot. So just make sure you stir it every once in a while. Once you achieve a boil, you can turn down your heat to probably a medium. You do want to maintain a boil, but you can turn that temperature down some, and then you'll just need to simmer this for about 20 minutes. It's super easy. Come along every once in a while and give it a stir. Okay, and then towards the end of cooking time, that's when I added some extra rotisserie chicken there. And y'all feel free to do that anytime to any of my recipes. If you don't have freeze-dried meat and you have rotisserie chicken, just use that instead. You can add fresh food and combine it with the freeze-dried food when you cook it, and it combines beautifully. It works out great. All right, now's a good time to give your stew a taste. You're going to test for tenderness. I'm testing the pinto bean to make sure that is completely tender, because that will take the longest to cook. I decided it needed some heat, some spice, so I added both cayenne pepper and red pepper flakes to give it a little kick. And I'm telling you what, I'm so glad I did, because that was amazing. I'm going to put that in the show notes below as an optional ingredient, because I really do think it's better with a little bit of a kick. So I tasted that again, and to me that was perfect. I loved the flavor from this broth. And y'all know me, I'm going to add additional heavy cream. If I have it, I usually add it because I just think it's fantastic. Of course, it's optional, and if you don't have heavy cream to add, just leave it out. It's great without it. I promise it's going to be super good either way. All right, so now it's ready. It's ready to serve. I think I let this sit for probably another 5 minutes while I was getting out my dishes and kind of messing with the camera. And even in that amount of time, it thickened up quite a bit. If you'll notice, it's nice and thick. This is a delicious stew. So you can go ahead and serve it up. I like to put it in those kind of big, shallow bowls. It reminds me of the Italian restaurant that's down the road. And whenever my girls and I go to the thrift shop, we like to go thrifting, I try to pick up any of those bowls I see at the thrift shop, because I just think it's perfect. It's a perfect way to serve food. I just gave it a sprinkling of my scallions that I have still growing out back in my container garden somehow. We've had freezing temperatures all week, and I still have those scallions growing. But anyway, isn't that a beautiful stew? I just love the way this looks. I love the chunkiness of the vegetables. I love it that you can really taste each individual ingredient. The broth is, it's fantastic. Cozy and comforting and warm and perfect for this time of year. Adding the Thrive Life tomato sauce is, I think, the equivalent of what my mom would do, which would be she would just empty the rest of a jar of marinara into her stew. So I think adding that tomato sauce kind of mimics that. And of course, adding heavy cream powder makes it creamy. And anyway, this is just a great base recipe for you to make a yummy Italian, I'm calling it an Italian stew because it has some Italian flavors in it, but it's just a delicious stew. And I think y'all are going to really like this one. I hope you give it a try. Okay guys, what I'll do is I will include the full recipe in the description box below. I always do that for my YouTube videos. I will also include my shopping link in case you want to pick up any of the Thrive Life ingredients you see featured in my videos. And if you shop using my shopping link, then I will get a small commission, but it's at no extra charge to you. So I do appreciate you supporting me in that way. Also, I'll include my website where you can pick up a copy of my ebook. I've got a cookbook that I put together using the recipes from my YouTube channel. And it came out this past summer. And what I did was I just took all of the meal in a jar recipes from my channel and I made a cookbook with it. And I have that for sale on my website. It's downloadable. You can put it on multiple devices after you purchase it, and then you can print off any of the recipes you're interested in. And I think what I'll do this next summer is I'll take all of my new recipes from this last year and I'll do the same thing and I'll make volume 2. So I'm excited about that. Okay, I needed to tell y'all that I have been having some health problems. I've been having some trouble with my heart. So my doctor has recommended that I cut back on my work hours. So I will probably just make videos if I feel good, and then it might not happen if I'm not feeling good that day. So I just wanted to thank you for your understanding, because I really do need to prioritize my health. Okay guys, thanks again for watching. I pray you have a blessed day, and until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.